So I was 15 when I got paid for the first time in my life. 13,000 rupees just for a logo. 2 years later, almost exact same thing happened again. Except this time the stranger was a startup in the US. The pay was around 70,000 rupees per month. 4 hours work a day, and I was just 17 sitting in my room refreshing the message because I genuinely thought I misread the number. I didn't apply to either of them. I didn't have a resume. I'd never been on a real interview in my life. Both of them just found me. And here's the part that took me years to actually understand. It wasn't luck. It wasn't going viral. It wasn't knowing the right person at the right time. It was one kind of a small boring habit that almost most of them miss. And the moment I see somebody else doing it, I can almost predict what's about to happen to them. So in this video, I want you to walk you through both of these stories: the logo at 15, the open source project that got me hired at 17, and the one pattern underneath both of them, which is single biggest unlock anyone trying to break in early. So if you ever sat there thinking, who would even trust me? I haven't done anything yet. Stay with me. So in my last video, I talked about how I got into Atlassian at 19. But after that, a lot of people asked me about the earlier part. How did I get my first job? How did I start earning? Was it only because of coding? And the answer is more interesting than that. So my first real income did not come from software. So there are two stories in this video, and the first one is about getting paid at 15, and the second is about getting hired at 17. So I started pretty early, around 8th standard, as I told in the last video as well, and I wasn't only doing code, I was exploring everything: graphic design, brand identity design, logo design, some 3D, VFX, like sorts of After Effects, Premiere Pro, Blender, Cinema 4D, all sorts of those software as well. So it wasn't just coding, and it was just random creative experiments. I like making changes, and I like starting with nothing and ending up with something real on the screen. So I started learning brand identity design from YouTube, and I would watch tutorials, pick some imaginary concept company, design a logo, letterhead, business cards, etc. And then I posted that work online, mostly on platforms like Dribble and Behance. And I wasn't famous, I didn't have an audience at that time, but one of that logo got noticed and someone reached out to me. And he had seen one of my logo concept and he liked it. So since he was building a company in India, he asked me if I could work on the branding for his company. And I still remember it was like part excitement and part panic, because until then I was making work for mostly myself, as like if it was bad, nothing happened. If I got bored, I could stop. But now there was another person, a real client, who, like, a real business would be dependent, or sort of like I would impact a real business, and there were real expectations from me. So at that time we agreed on 13,000 rupees for the whole thing, and at 15 that number felt huge, not because it made me rich or anything, but because it changed the meaning of my work. Until that moment, design was something I was just learning, and after that moment, design felt something someone would trust me to pay for, and that difference does something to your brain. The project took longer than expected, and it took around, I think, 2 or 3 months. So basically I was getting paid 6,000 per month, but that's fine. But there were moments I had to understand what client meant, even when the feedback was not clear. Sometimes the client would say, can you make the logo look more premium? And as a beginner, you're thinking, what does premium even mean here? But that is the job. You have to translate vague feedback into better results, and that taught me something I still use in software engineering, that work is not only the tool. It is not only Illustrator, it is not only Figma, Python, React, or whatever you are using. The work is understanding the problem behind the request, and eventually getting to the solution which the user wants. And eventually he liked it, and people around him also liked it. And then the best thing happened, which is he referred me to someone else, and the second person wanted a logo too. And the project paid around 17,000 rupees. And this time it was faster, it took around a month. And I was really happy back then, so I thought, let's try more. So I went into 99 Designs, I got a couple of smaller projects there. Together, those were close around 20,000 rupees, and those happened much faster because I have gained a little bit of experience of working with clients. So at that point, I made 50,000 rupees. Again, I was 15 and I did something maybe not financially optimal, and I don't suggest you do that, but I got an iPhone 11 for myself. And a lot of people told me that I should invest the money, and honestly, maybe they were right, but at that age, I felt something very strongly that I had worked hard for that money, right? And I love technology, I love well-designed products. And I wanted to own something that reminded me of what my skills had created. And so for me, that it was an iPhone. Was a physical reminder that if I learned a skill and put enough work out there, something real could come back. I'm not saying you should spend your first money like that. This is not the advice. The advice is your first money changes your relationship with your skill. And before that, it feels like a hobby. After that, you realize it can create value for someone else. And once you feel that, you start taking yourself more seriously. And now here's where it connects to software engineering, which most of you probably are here for. So the design work was not separate from my coding journey. It shaped how I thought. The design taught me to care about the user. The client work taught me understanding vague requirements. Branding taught me that the same thing can be technically correct but emotionally wrong. And later when I started building software projects that really mattered, because software is not just code. Software is also taste. It is communication. It is understanding what someone wants before they know how to explain it properly. So even though my first money was not from my coding, it still prepared me for coding work. That is why I do not think that my exploration was wasted. And if you explore seriously, different skills start connecting together. So when I was 17, I built a project called Tkinter Designer, and I have talked about it again in the last video, and it was basically building Python Tkinter interfaces, which converted from Figma to Python. Simple problem, I built it, and it started as a project to solve a real problem, and people used it. People shared it, and it kind of became bigger than I expected. And then during lockdown, Kevin from a company called Magical reached out to me because they were also doing similar stuff what it was doing. So I built a problem that was solving something they were also solving. So that project became my silent resume. So before I explained myself, my project already answered a few questions. Can this person build something? Can they finish it? Can they understand design to code problems? Can they make something people actually use? So that is why useful public projects are so powerful. They speak before you do. And when Magical reached out to me, I expected the pay to be kind of low. I was 17. This was my first software developer's job, and I didn't really have a real company experience. So in my head, I was thinking, even if the money is small, the learning would be worth it, right? But then they told me the pay, and for part-time work around 4 hours a day, it was 60 to 70,000 per month. At today's rate, that would be close to 80,000 rupees per month. And for a 17-year-old, that felt unreal. I remember thinking, wait, is this possible? It gave me independence, it gave me confidence. But again, the money is not the main lesson here. The main lesson here is what created the opportunity, right? It wasn't saying I know Python. Thousands can people say that, right? It was working on a project that made my skill specific. It showed that I could build in the exact direction they cared about. That was a basically different signal which I was projecting with that project. And working at Magical changed me a lot, honestly. Before that, I had built projects and stuff, but building your own project and working inside a real company code base is completely different things. Because it was a startup, I got exposed to many things. Sometimes front end, sometimes back end, sometimes services, deployment, servers, customer issues even. And Because we were in different time zones, there were moments where customers reported that something was down, and I had to look into the service and understand what failed, fix it, and push it basically. So that taught me more than a clean tutorial would ever do. And tutorials usually show the happy path, production teaches you like the unhappy paths. And I'm still grateful to that team for being patient with me. I worked there for around a year and 2 months, and even after I left, I worked with Kevin again on different ideas and project few more times. And this is why I keep talking about proof of work, because proof of work reduces the risk people feel when they trust you. If you are young, many people assume you are experienced, and that is totally normal. But a good project can challenge that assumption. A public project can say, look, I might be young, but I can build. And that is much stronger than saying, please give me a chance, right? So if I was 15 or 17 again, I would not wait until I felt professional. I would pick one skill I genuinely cared about, and then I would make small projects with it, and then I would post them publicly. There is no point keeping your projects to yourself, and not to do that in spammy way. Just clearly, look, here's what I made, here's the problem, and here's what I learned doing this, and here's what I would improve with this project. And then I would try to get feedback from real people. If it's a design, I would show the work. If it's code, I'll ship the project. And when an opportunity comes that is slightly above your level, do not automatically reject yourself. Like, do not wait for the perfect confidence that, oh, I'll wait until I become properly comfortable. I just take something that stretches you. And that's mainly the thing. And in future videos, I want to go deeper into things that actually mattered in my journey. What helped, what did not matter as much as people think. How I picked projects, how I learned skills, and how I think young people should build proof of work today. Also, I want to start answering your questions directly, because after last video I got a lot of comments and DMs on Twitter and LinkedIn, and I'm really grateful for that. It feels really good to know these stories are helping and inspiring people. So I have put a Q&A link on the screen right now, and you can submit your questions here. And if you want, you can also include your name too, so I can show it on the screen while answering the questions in the next videos. If this video helped you, share it with somebody who is waiting to feel ready, and subscribe if you want to see more of videos of my journey building projects, open source software, in general software engineering, and creating opportunities through proof of work. And thank you so much for watching. And remember, your first opportunity usually does not come from looking ready. It comes from making your work visible enough for somebody to believe you become ready. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.